What seems to be the problem?
Doctor, give me the news.
Damn it, man, I'm a doctor, not a torpedo technician.
Dr. Harris,
Yes?
do you concur?
Is there anything you can do, doctor?
Somebody give me a doctor.
Well, Nika, we have an injury report, and we have some major updates from Bears land. Let's start with the big one. Coby Bryant. It has just come across the airwaves from Coach Ben Johnson himself. Coby Bryant is out 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months. That's a big window, but I can understand why that is.
Well, that's a lot more than the 8 to 10 weeks originally reported. Mm-hmm. Though I will say that is 2 to 2.5 months. This is now 4 to 6 months. So, 2 to 3 times as long as initially reported.
So, and he had a surgery on his knee.
He did last Friday.
Because the first timeline was without the surgery. Now
Right.
the second one is with the surgery. That
So,
makes more sense.
Maybe it just made more sense to fix whatever was fractured because there was a report of a fracture. I'm not going to speculate about injuries because that's worthless in the NFL. And head coaches like Ben Johnson are not going to tell you anything more than they have to. And they're trained to do that. Nevertheless, that is a big injury, and you could hear it in his voice a little bit. There's disappointment, but also this is a next man up business, and there's an opportunity now for other people on this roster, including other people on this injury report. So we will move it right along. But yes, a big blow here for the Bears. Nika, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think the chances for him returning this season are high. I don't think he will be sidelined for the remaining of the season unless the Bears perform poorly.
That's a good point. I think you're spot on the money. If the Bears are in December in playoff contention, I think Coby Bryant will be available and ready before the season ends to possibly join this team for a playoff run.
The Bears! Ah, the Bears!
Let's talk about the next big name on my list. Luther Burden III has a groin injury. This was first reported by Adam Schefter on Saturday. From the head coach, Ben Johnson's word of mouth today is that they hope he can be ready for the start of the season. There was also a podcast that Luther Burden was on. He alluded to the fact that it's not serious, though that came from the podcast host, not from Luther Burden himself.
This is his groin injury, right?
It's a groin injury.
So it's a soft tissue injury, and that it can get re-aggravated really quickly, especially if you have explosive plays on the field or it's cold, you didn't stretch, you sit on the sidelines for too long. Who knows? It's easily aggravated. That's the point.
I really want Luther Burden to play. I really do. He, by all accounts from eyes on the ground, he was having an amazing training camp. He's been having an amazing preseason leading up to training camp with all the OTAs. And
Sure. So he will have amazing recovery now.
Well, I hope so. But I will say this, groin injuries make me nervous because
of course
they can become naggy or re-aggravated very easily in my experience of watching guys that get groin injuries,
Of course.
And I just don't want Luther Burden to have a on and off season, kind of like Kyler Gordon did last year.
Well, it's very hard to put a cast on your groin or on your balls. You can't. You just have to let it heal naturally.
Of course. We're going to stay in the wide receiver room and talk about Xavion Thomas, the rookie third-round draft pick out of LSU. And he left practice on Saturday as well with a banged-up knee.
Oh, another one?
But this was not too serious, and he was actually already back on the field, though he wasn't doing the walkthrough drills specifically. I'm going to chalk this up as a bone bruise without knowing anything more than that. That's my best educated guess, is that he's got a bone bruise on his knee, and that as soon as everything goes down on the swelling on that 2 to 3 days, probably. I bet my hope is that Xavion Thomas can play in the preseason game this week, because guys like him are the ones that need to play in these preseason games, to get experience of what an NFL game looks and feels like, but also he should be out there competing for spots on this roster.
So we're going to have tryouts.
Especially wide receiver number 4 spot, because with his speed, he can really be a game changer, but he's not going to be put out on the field unless Ben Johnson can trust him. Now is when he earns the trust.
Spot on.
Thank you. All right. Well, that's the wide receiver room. Let's move to the offensive line room, Nika, where we got some great news actually today if you're a Bears fan, and that is because Ozzy Trapillo is apparently ahead of schedule. And when I say ahead, I mean way ahead of schedule for this torn patella tendon injury that he had on his knee during the Packers playoff game last year. I'll never forget Ozzy Trapillo, by the way, hobbling off the sidelines so the Bears wouldn't have to call a timeout in that crucial moment. Gosh, what a gamer, man. What a savvy gamer.
And he's very motivated to come back. You know, we need more motivated players.
He is, and you know why? Is because I think there's a lot of disbelief in who is being trotted out there at the left tackle position right now. And we'll talk about one of those people in a second. But Ozzy Trapillo being way ahead of schedule, this comes via Hogue and Johns via their podcast. They were lucky enough to get Ryan Poles on, and he told them that Ozzy Trapillo is potentially going to practice during training camp.
Yeah!
That was unheard of, when this injury happened. Everyone was like, gosh, he might be out for the entire season.
Well, we even speculated what kind of Ozzy we're going to get it back after this kind of an injury.
But apparently some of the medical technology in the world is getting better, at least for sports-related injuries. But
I hope he was drinking a lot of bone broth, honestly.
Yes. Ozzy, if you're still recovering and listening, you should definitely work bone broth into your recovery.
It's really good.
Dr. Nika recommended over here. She fixed me up, everybody, if you don't know. A story for another day. But anyways, Ozzy Trapillo.
That's a good news, actually.
This is amazing. After hearing Ben Johnson comment on it today, I'm not too confident that he is actually going to suit up during training camp. But the fact that it's even discussed as a potential possibility right now, today on August 11th, that's saying something. And that's good news if you're a Bears fan.
Hell yeah!
The left tackle position outside of Ozzy Trapillo was in a heated competition, and one of those members, Braxton Jones, is not practicing with an undisclosed injury, though Ben Johnson told Hogue and Johns as well that it's not too serious. So that's good news. We need that depth, whether Ozzy Trapillo is ready for week 1 or not. I think that's obviously a long shot, but in the meantime, if he's going to be back and be a part of this team, Ozzy Trapillo, then, we need someone there competent to hold the fort down. Braxton Jones seemed to be the guy. Then he got injured. Jedrick Wills impressed Dave Wanstedt at practice. I know that from listening to the score. I don't know who's going to get this job. I would put my money on Jedrick Wills, honestly. He's got the pedigree, and if the Bears are coaching him up, then maybe he sneaks in and is the week 1 starter for the Bears. It wouldn't shock me, everybody.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Let's move on to the defensive side of the room, because we talked about Coby Bryant to kick off this injury report, and that was obviously the lead today. You can't do an injury report today and not talk about Coby Bryant as the lead. But right underneath him was Cam Lewis filling in at practice at his position, and then he got dinged up. His injury is still undisclosed at this time. Brad Biggs, a beat reporter, he says it looked like it was maybe a foot or an ankle. But undisclosed at this time, and we don't know, again, how long he'll be out. Gosh, I hope it's not too long, since he was already the backup for the big free agent signing that we had. Yeah. Let's move to the defensive line, because Montez Sweat one of our best defensive players, a top NFL 100 player. He is also on the undisclosed injury list. Ben Johnson also says it's not too serious. This happened, I think, when Braxton Jones and he were going against each other in one-on-one drills. So, hey, maybe take it easy on each other, guys. I don't know. Like, let's save a little bit of in the tank for the regular season. Like, I know we want to get our bodies built up to absorb hits.
Well,
I just feel like sometimes these guys go from 0 to 100 just because the coaches say go hit each other, and maybe there needs to be some ramp up. I don't know. We used to get on our hands and knees at the end of like stretching period, and we would face each other and we would hit shoulders against each other just to like start to warm up the body a little bit, you know? And I just wonder if they still are patient enough and take the time to still do this. I'm shocked, by the way. I was listening to Clay Harbor this morning on The Score, and you know, he reminded me that not so long ago, these guys endured 2-a-day practices during training camp, and it just made me remember how weak modern sports has gotten, even in the glorious gladiator game of the NFL, everybody.
It's a damn shame. A damn shame.
They can't even do 2 practices a day anymore and endure it.
That's terrible. The endurance of the players goes down.
I know. Yeah. It just makes me wonder. It's just like pitching, you know, like do they baby them too much to the point where their arms, they try to exert all this force and energy out of their arms. And then,
now going to 6th innings considered deep.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's the same kind of situation. Nerfing. They nerfing the players.
Yes.
To quote unquote keep them healthier. I don't know. I don't know about that.
We in football. Move on.
Tyreek Stevenson.
Oh.
Now, he got banged up on the same exact play Luther Burden limped off the field on. Again, take it easy on each other, guys. But he kept practicing, thank goodness. So he's just banged up right now. So let's try and keep it that way, because with Coby Bryant and Cam Lewis already injured, we don't need any more bodies missing in the defensive secondary right now. That's just my opinion.
We need the depth.
All right, I'm bouncing back to the defensive line, because there's been a Shemar Turner sighting, everybody. He's out there. He was working out, and that's a good thing. It was kind of a surprise that he was on the PUP list to start training camp, though he was ending last season on an injury. So just, I guess, taking a little bit longer, but we need to get him in there and get him padded up, because, you know, if these guys miss these padded workouts, especially, it's just going to take them longer to get acclimated and be a part of the season. It's not to say that they're not going to be, but it's just going to take longer. And so the sooner we get them suited up and hitting, the better.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Kyler Gordon, the calf mystery man. There's been no updates. No updates. Nothing. In fact, the Bears released their first depth chart today, and all the players who are on the PUP list to start training camp are not on it, including Kyler Gordon. So now this is an unofficial depth chart. I don't know. I guess this is part of the depth chart process. It's the first one, and it's kind of a politically correct. I mean, Coby Bryant is listed number 1, and he's probably headed to IR. So
I guess that list is just
it's just a PC, like, this is where we came into training camp kind of list.
Yeah.
And I think we'll know a lot more when the new depth chart comes out after the first preseason game. Yeah?
I think so.
Awesome. Outstanding. Cool. 2 more little quick injuries to get through, Nika. Jalen Jones has an undisclosed injury. That's also in the defensive secondary, so not good. And DeMarco Jackson has an undisclosed injury at the linebacker position. He's listed as 3rd on the depth chart right now, so let's get well soon, everybody. But those are your Bears injuries for this injury report.